The man had been tied to the tree for 3 days. Starving, he tried to eat wild grass by pinching it between his feet, but awkwardly discovered his flexibility wasn't sufficient. After struggling for half a day without success, the man, exhausted to the point of leg cramps, had to abandon this method. In this 4,000 square kilometer primeval forest, no matter how loudly he shouted, no one responded. Faced with such a desperate situation, tears of anguish streamed down his face. Regaining his composure, he resumed his desperate attempts to free himself. He began rubbing the tree trunk with the rope binding his wrists, but soon his skin was raw and bleeding. Forced to stop, he rested briefly before trying to stand. He could only manage a half-squat stance. He eventually sat down on the ground. As night fell, he closed his weary eyes only to hear the panting of beasts nearby. The man held his breath, feigning death to narrowly escape. When he awoke the next morning, he couldn't help but urinate in his pants. Then he channeled his grief and anger into strength, grinding furiously at the ropes binding his hands. He roared, straining every muscle, yet still failed to sever the cords. He gave up once more. When night fell again, his legs had gone numb from sitting so long. He flexed his ankles and began talking to the birds to ease his loneliness and fear. Suddenly, a woman's voice shattered his thoughts. He whipped his head around in shock to find her bound to a nearby tree, seemingly materialized out of thin air. She explained she was organizing a protest to protect the forest's ancient trees, rallying volunteers to tie themselves to the trunks with ropes. The man scanned his surroundings and saw many others suddenly bound to the trees like himself. The woman then drank water greedily until the plastic bottle was empty, casually tossing it aside. The man felt a pang of regret for the wasted water. He hadn't had a drink in 2 days. His eyes filled with longing for it. The woman thought the man was scolding her for littering. She defended herself, saying the bottle was biodegradable and wouldn't pollute the environment. As they spoke, a deafening roar erupted. Hearing it, the woman immediately pulled out her placard and led the crowd in protest. Before the man could grasp the situation, he witnessed a scene of utter chaos. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself still in the misty forest, but all the surrounding trees had been felled, granting him freedom. He sprinted toward the edge without hesitation. Only when he reached the riverbank and drank frantically did he truly come to his senses. Soon after, a light rain began to fall, and the man finally quenched his thirst. An old man approached, and the man urgently called for help. The old man came closer, tore off a piece of bark from a nearby tree, and gestured for the man to eat it to survive. He then turned and left. Overcome by hunger, the man eventually ate the bark. By midnight, the bark in his stomach began to take effect. He vomited violently, tossing and turning until late into the night. As a result, he slept soundly. The next morning, the man awoke to the sound of hammering nearby. Opening his eyes, he clearly saw another man setting up a tent nearby. He pleaded for help to be untied, but was unexpectedly refused.